restrictions, correct?
Yes.
When you state that he needed his doctor to give him clearance to work, were you referring to a CA-17 duty status report filled out by his doctor?
I don't know what, I'm assuming he was, I'm assuming, which I should, no, I'm not gonna assume. I'm going based on the conversation that Mr. Ormsby had with me, saying he had limitations on the document he gave him.
To give him clearance to work. What does that mean?
That means if he has something that can cause him to be hurt in the job, okay, he cannot work unless we have a clearance saying that's been abated.
These were restrictions for a workman's comp claim filed the previous day on the job, correct?
I don't know if you filed a workman's comp claim the previous day.
So at this point in time, he wasn't clear, Mr. Tostage was not cleared to work, correct?
Not according to the documentation Mr. Ormsby received from it.
So what did you mean when you said to give him clearance to work?
I don't fully understand your question because I think I've explained that.
Read the last sentence of question number 21 again, please.
I told Supervisor Ormsby to tell Mr. Tostage that he needs his doctor to give him a clearance to work. That was based on the fact that Mr. Tostage, in the same thing, said that the physical restrictions on his doctor's note was not the ones he wanted us to look at. We can't pick and choose.
You spoke to Mr. Tostage about this?
No, according to Mr. Ormsby, that's what he told me.
Mr. Owensby. So when you gave direction to Mr. Supervisor Owensby to give him clearance to work, what did you mean by that?
I meant if the individual has documentation that says he cannot work, we cannot bring him in to work unless he is cleared by a doctor saying now he can.
At this point in time, on 5/10/2011, did Mr. Tostage have documentation that said that he could not work?
According to Mr. Ormsby, yes, it said he had limitations that allowed him, that stopped him from being able to do what is required of his job.
Those medical restrictions were handed in on 5/4/2011, correct?
I have no idea what the date was.
Okay. We're going to refer to question 23 on page 00225 there in front of you. I'm going to read to you the following. The complainant asserts that on May 17, 2011, he returned to duty with a CA-17 and physician's medical statement requiring at least half his work hours he spent in a low-noise office-type situation. What is your knowledge about this about the assertion? Please read out loud your answer to question number 23, ROI, page 00225.
I did not see the CA-17. However, it is my understanding that either Supervisor Ormsby or Still advised Mr. Tostage of the procedure for requesting reasonable accommodations, in that Mr. Tostage needed to submit a formal request for accommodations, including medical, to support the request and send the request to the medical unit.
Did you contact the DRAC on Mr. Tostage's behalf at this time?
No,
For the record, Mr. Owensby was Mr. Tostage's supervisor on May 17, 2011.
to the best of my knowledge.
This is in the request for admission number 25. So be you stating in answer to question number 23 that Mr. Tostage had to formally request reasonable accommodation, it can be assured you knew his CA-17 dated May 16, 2011 did have restrictions, correct?
No, I told him what the procedure was for doing something. I had not seen his CA-17, so I don't know what it had on it.
In your answer that you read, it says accommodation in that Mr. Tostage had to submit a formal request for accommodation including medical to support the request. and send the request to the medical unit. Am I correct?
That's right.
Okay. What did you mean by that?
That means when you do a request to the DRAC, you provide them documentation saying why you are requesting the DRAC accommodation.
Why would you state that in your answer?
Why would I state what in my answer?
Accommodation in that Mr. Tostich had to submit a formal request for accommodation, including medical, to support the request and send the request to the medical unit.
Because that is the procedure, and it's the medical unit that holds the DRAC committee.
Did Mr. Tostich have restrictions at this time?
From talking to his supervisor, the paperwork he gave him said he had restrictions.
And he was allowed to return to work on May 17th, correct? 2011?
I don't remember dates.
Did Mr. Tostich really have to submit a formal request for reasonable accommodation, as you stated in your answer to ROI question 23 on page 00225?
That is the procedure.
That is. Mr. Johnson, we're going to be moving to the reasonable accommodation and interactive process. Handbook EL 307, pages 277, 00277 to 00284, contained in the ROI. Mr. Johnson, I'm going to read from EL 307 in the ROI. Please follow along in the highlighted areas on page 00278. Request for reasonable accommodation can be made orally or in writing by the individual or by someone on behalf of the individual. The reasonable accommodation process is activated whenever a request for reasonable accommodation is made by the employee or applicant. When you receive an accommodation request, you must process the request promptly, using the guidance contained in this handbook. Whether the request is made orally or in writing, you must act promptly. See subchapter 24 for timeframes for processing request. Mr. Johnson, per EL 307, if you as a manager receive an accommodation request, must you act promptly?
If that's what the contract says.
What contract?
This ELM, that's what you just said.
This is the EL 307.
Okay.
I'm going to continue reading some highlights. This will be in the highlighted areas on page 281. Please follow along. A reasonable accommodation may be made orally or in writing by an employee. To request an accommodation, an employee may use plain language and need not mention the Rehabilitation Act or use the phrase reasonable accommodation. The employee need only let you know that he or she requires a change at work because of a physical or mental impairment. The request for reasonable accommodation can be made to the supervisor or manager, Human Resources District. When you receive an accommodation request, you are responsible for processing that request using the guidance contained in subchapter 22. Verbal requests for reasonable accommodation should be documented for local record keeping and to ensure that every request receives a timely decision. When a manager hears a verbal request for reasonable accommodation, who is responsible for processing that request, Mr. Johnson?
From reading this EL, whoever hears it, the manager.
So if you heard a verbal request for reasonable accommodation, whose responsibility would it be to go to the DRAC committee?
From reading this, mine.
May an employee use plain language?
I didn't hear you.
May an employee use plain language in requesting a reasonable accommodation?
According to this, yes.
Should a verbal request be documented?
According to this, yes.
If I gave you a verbal request, would you document it?
Knowing this, yes.
I'm going to read out highlighted areas on page 284 of ROI. Please follow along. The supervisor or manager must refer a request for accommodation to the RAC. When an employee has requested an accommodation or modification of his or her work assignment or job duties based on medical reason, and one or more of the following is true. The supervisor is not certain if the impairment rises to the level of a disability under the Rehabilitation Act. The supervisor has questions concerning the reasonableness of the accommodation requested and whether it poses an undue hardship. The supervisor needs help finding a way to accommodate the individual. The supervisor believes the request for accommodation should be denied. The supervisor is considering separating the employee for inability to perform the functions of his or her position. Now I'm going to give you page 00224 of the ROI. I'm going to ask you to read your answer to question number 18, specifically the highlighted areas marked in yellow. Please read now.
Disability Responsibility Accommodation Committee. The day Mr. Tostich came to me about Supervisor Steele, I advised Tostich of the process for requesting medical accommodations. I believe Mr. Tostich was told several times before about the process, but he chose not to follow this procedure. Mr. Tostich wanted, oh, that was highlighted. Okay. Next it says, to the best of my knowledge, his condition was not yet accepted by Injury Comp Office. Mr. Tostich was advised that he needed to send a formal letter requesting reasonable accommodations.
Mr. Johnson, does the EL 307 state that there is a formal process for requesting accommodation?
No,
Why didn't you request a reasonable accommodation for Mr. Tostich at this time?
because I believe from the knowledge I had that he had to formally request a DRAC.
The agency answered our interrogatories. It states that Mr. Diaz, Mr. Owensby, and Mr. Conrad Johnson were trained on reasonable accommodation. Do you recall being trained on this?
Who states that?
The agency's answers to our Mr. Tostich's interrogatories. Were you ever trained in reasonable accommodation for employees?
I was given a general understanding of what reasonable accommodation was. I did not go through a full training course, if that's your question, on reasonable accommodations.
Did you hear the wording, plain language, in the EL 307 that you read?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You stated in answer to question 18, page 00224 of the ROI, that you advised Mr. Tostich of the process for requesting medical accommodation. Is that correct?
Yes.
What is the process?
To my knowledge, the process was if a person felt like they had a reason or they needed reasonable accommodations, they were to submit a letter to the DRAC board or to their supervisor to submit to the DRAC board, along with medical documentation as to why they needed reasonable accommodation.
Okay. I need, this one, exhibit 2. Exhibit 2, exhibit. Going to enter into exhibit 2. Attachment 7 to response to complainant's production of documents. Attachment 2A and 2B. I'm going to hand it to Mr. Johnson. This was received from the agency's representative, again, as attachment 7, 2A, 2B, response to production of documents. Mr. Johnson, please read the highlighted sections on attachment 2B.
Supervisor, manager, examiner, or selecting official use this form to document a verbal request for reasonable accommodations from applicant or employee.
Mr. Johnson, prior to October 1st, 2011, did you ever fill out this request for Mr. Tostich for reasonable accommodation?
No, I did not,
Why not?
because I didn't know I was required to do so.
$251, $252. I'm going to give you pages 251 and 252, 00251 and 00252 of the ROI for the CEO. Mr. Johnson, please look at the CA-17 on page 00251 in the ROI that I've given you, copy of the page. Look at box number 15. Date of examination, what day is presented?
May 16, 2011.
Look at row S, please. Does row S indicate noise?
Noise, give decibel 11.
Okay. In the highlighted section in Dr. Neese's answer, what does it say?
See separate notes.
That's for S, correct? The noise?
Yes, that's what I'm assuming
Okay.
from the way it's written.
The CA 17 contained restrictions, would you agree?
From the separate note, yes.
Okay. Did you send Mr. Tostich home after seeing this restriction?
I didn't send Mr. Tostich home, no.
Was Mr. Tostich sent home based on these restrictions?
Based on the hearing restrictions, not that I am aware of.
Okay. So you're satisfied with Mr. Tostich's return to work documentation, correct?
I have no problem with this work documentation. Like I said, I had not seen this that I'm aware of.
But you are aware that he was allowed to return to work based on those restrictions, correct? On
As far as I know,
5/17/11.
yes.
Would you say those restrictions are satisfactory to work?
I don't make a determine what's satisfactory, the DRAC committee does.
At this point in time, did you refer Mr. Tostich to the DRAC?
I don't know if it was at this time or not. My understanding is Mr. Tostich limitations was not about hearing, it was about something else.
Page 00252 of the ROI that you
Okay.
have a copy of, please read out loud the highlighted section.
To whom it may concern, I feel that patient would be better suited if at least half his work hours were spent in a low-noise office condition. We will reevaluate Mr. Tostich in 30 days.
Would you agree that Mr. Tostich had restrictions?
He had limitations, yes.
What's the difference between limitations and restrictions?
A restriction is something that says you cannot do something. Limitation says you can do something, but within certain limitations.
Do you have any emails concerning this?
Not that I am aware of.
ROI page 00225 should be in front of you. Can you locate that, please? Can you please read the last sentence to your response to question number 21 that is highlighted?
You say 225.
00225.
Yeah, I have 0224. Then it skips to 277. Okay, this one.
Okay, I have another one here. You got it? You okay? The last,
which
please
one?
read the last sentence to your answer of question number 21, contained on ROI page 00225.
225, the last question
No,
was?
question number 21, the last sentence.
Question number 21.
Your answer.
I told Supervisor Ormsby to tell Mr. Tostich that he needed his doctor to give him a clearance to work.
Again, Mr. Johnson, what would clear Mr. Tostich to return to work?
A doctor's note saying it was okay for him to return to work.
Did that CA 17 that we just referenced have or contain restrictions?
This was not based on that CA 17. This statement was based on another form that Mr. Tostich brought in that said he had other limitations.
What form was brought in?
I do not know. You will have to ask Mr. Ormsby.
Was another CA 17
I
handed
don't
in
know
with
if
a
it
CA
was a
2?
CA 17. I didn't see the documentation.
Was Mr. Tostich cleared to work with his restrictions on 5/17/2011?
Not that I'm aware of.
For the record, Mr. Tostich was allowed to return to work on 5/17/2011.
Okay.
Would Wouldn't it stand to reason that Mr. Owensby would seek your guidance when he presents documentation to get back, Mr. Tostage presents documentation to get back to work?
Yes.
Okay. Did you contact the safety specialist in early June of 2011?
Did I contact the safety specialist?
Let me ask you this question again. Let me rephrase it. Did you contact any safety specialists in early June of 2011 concerning a noise level study?
I don't know if I contacted anyone, but I do remember there was question about a noise level study, yes.
What was the question?
Could we have somebody find out what the decibel levels are in the DBCS area?
You requested this.
I don't know if I requested it, Mr. Owensby requested it.
Why was this being requested?
Because we were being told that the noise level outside was higher than the noise level inside. And if I have a noise level that's too high for my employees, I needed to know.
Who told
Or
you
we
this?
need to know.
Who told you this?
Mr. Owensby.
Mr. Owensby told you that noise level
No,
outside.
he told me the word was, okay, he had received a complaint or something that the noise level outside, okay, in the outer area was higher than the noise level in the room. I get Mr. Tostage worked in. Or I received a note from him.
Who's him?
Mr. Tostage, I don't know.
You don't know.
No, I don't know.
So somebody complained about the noise being higher outside and in Mr. Tosage's office than on the workroom floor. And they were requesting a noise level survey program, noise level survey test be conducted in the Tampa P&DC through you?
No, through safety.
Through safety.
Does the,
What was your involvement in this?
I may have told them who the individuals were to contact to find out what the noise levels were.
Who were you telling this to?
I either told it to Mr. Orangeby or one of the supervisors who may have asked the question.
So you, after that, you had nothing to do with the testing for the noise level in the Tampa P&DC at all?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Who told you to contact the safety specialist?
I know to contact the safety specialist.
So was there any concern at this time at all about Mr. Tosage's restrictions concerning his hearing?
Once again, my restrictions that I am aware of having to do with Mr. Tostage was not about his hearing.
Why were these noise level tests requested then? In June of 2011?
Because we were told that the area, the noise level out there was higher than the other areas.
Specifically room G105, the tax programming room?
Not just G105, but yeah, office areas in general.
Somebody complained to you that...
No, somebody complained to Mr. Owensby.
Somebody complained to Mr. Owensby that the noise was too high in the tax programming room G105, correct?
He didn't say G105, he said the workroom floor by the AFCSs.
How many offices were checked? Oh, let me, hold on one second. I'm gonna give you ROI page 00262. Who is this letter addressed to?
Myself.
Please read that.
MMO Johnson.
Okay.
This letter
That's
is...
okay, right there. How many offices were checked in this survey?
Offices look like, I don't see any offices.
The last survey to be conducted, please
Well,
read that.
IPSS room.
Where?
I don't know if you'd count that as an office, but
Okay. Again, how many offices were checked in this survey?
none that, from what I'm seeing on this paper, none.
What is the last one surveyed in this test?
It says tax programming room,
G105, correct?
G105.
Is that an office?
Yes,
Okay, whose office is that?
it's
Who-
the tax office.
Who normally sits in that office or performs work in that office on tour two?
Kurt Tostage.
Okay? Please read,
He's finishing his
Oh.
response.
Russ Cars, and anybody else who's assigned to tax that day.
Who was assigned on June 10, 2011
I
that
have
day?
no idea. I would have
Okay.
to pull the schedule.
Please read the first sentence below your name.
This letter is in response to your request for decibel level readings on the workroom floor of the PNDC.
Whose request is this?
She says it's mine.
Did you request this?
Not that I remember.
Did you receive this June 10, 2011 letter?
Most likely.
Would you agree that there are over a dozen offices in the Tampa PNDC?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Did you determine from this noise level survey that Mr. Tostage did not work in a hazardous noise environment?
I don't think I made that determination.
Who did?
I don't know. I didn't know if the decision was made.
Did that prove to you that Mr. Tostage didn't have to be accommodated?
Mr. Tostage accommodation was not for his noise level.
What was it for?
The drac he asked me about had something to do with him having dizzy spells or something. Unless that's due to his ears. I don't know. I am not a doctor, so therefore,
Okay, I'm good. About what decibel level does noise become high?
I would have to look that up. I do not know that off the top of my head.
Is 85 decibels
I do not.
considered hazardous?
I do not know.
What decibel range is considered a low noise environment?
Again, I do not know.
Okay. What decibel range is considered a medium noise environment?
Without a book in front of me giving those guidance, I do not know.
Refer to page 00224, please, Mr. Johnson. Would you please read your answer to question number 19 in the ROI, page 00224?
Have you disapproved requests for a reasonable accommodation for medical reasons? If so, if yes, please identify each employee by name, position title, and when or why the request you disapproved. And my answer was, I do not approve or disapprove requests for reasonable accommodation.
Read your answer again, please. Read your answer verbatim, please.
I do not approve or disapprove requests for accommodation.
Okay. Who then disapproved Mr. Tosage's doctor's restrictions that he be in a low noise office condition?
It wasn't me.
Mr. Johnson, are you a doctor?
No,
Do you have any formal training in audiology?
no.
262. I'm gonna read this one. He's got it already. Do you have ROI page 00262? I can give you another copy.
262.
Okay. Please look at this document. Tell me what it is. Briefly explain what it is.
It's an email from Christina Rivera's telling me what the noise levels are.
It's an email,
It's a formal letter.
formal letter. This letter is from the safety specialist, Ms. Ramirez, correct?
Yes.
The letter is addressed to whom?
To me.
To you, correct?
Yes.
Read. Who is Ms. Ramirez referring to when she says your request again?
I'm assuming she's referring to me.
What is the highest dB reading on the survey?
82.7.
Okay. What area would that be in?
AFCS, when the equipment is running.
The area Mr. Tostage was having problems in, correct?
Okay.